Hi, welcome. We are three paralegal students from Bryan University. We are Dennis, Aimee, and Meredith. We are going to be debating China's one-child policy.
The one-child policy was an official program initiated in the late 70s by China, in the early 80s by the central government of China. The purpose of which was to limit the great majority of family units in the country. China began promoting the use of birth control and family planning with the establishment of the People's Republic in 1949. Though such efforts remained sporadic and voluntary until the death of Mao Zedong in 76, by the late 70s, China's population was rapidly approaching the 1 billion mark.
Yes. In 2002, Chairman Deng Xiaoping, because of the 2 billion people in China, he introduced a highly successful but controversial one-child per family policy. Now, in 2012, Chinese population was about 1.34 billion, or 660 million less. Its annual growth rate is now 0.51%, 40% lower than the US rate, and the economy is good. I am for it because, first of all, it was supported within the country. 76% of the population of China supported the policy.
Okay. I understand that 76% of these people did support the policy. However, I don't think that they understood what those consequences would be long term and how it would affect the future economy and population. Currently, the ratio is 1 to 5 girls to boys, and that this is a result of the one-child policy because males were always preferred over females. This also increased adoption rates. Females were often given up for adoption because they were not considered the wage earners in the family. The economy currently cannot keep up with this, or else they're going to start to fail. The problem is the dependency ratio is way too high. So all of the people that implemented this one-child policy are now in those dependency years. So the people who are the one-child product are currently the workers earning, and they cannot make enough to support their families, the grandparents and the parents. So this is why I'm against the one-child policy.
Thank you, Meredith. One of the reasons why I'm for the policy is because it changed the place of women in Chinese society. It changed the traditional role, allowing girls to go to school, receive vocational supports, and encourage additional training. The quality of life increased dramatically over the past generation.
Thank you, Aimee. Well, the result of the policy was a general reduction in China's fertility and birth rates after 1980. However, I do agree that it has changed women's positions in China. It has brought them back, to draconian times where women are forced to get abortions. Women have the human rights, the basic human right to reproduce when they want without anybody telling them. However, China's one-child policy has imposed sanctions on those that did not comply with their one-child policy, also leading to the military involvement with women being dragged out of their homes, taken to military installations, and getting a forced abortion with a simple injection. I am against this all the way, and so is Reggie Littlejohn, who happens to be a litigator for and president of Women's Rights Without Frontiers. She's still there today in 2019. We're having these issues where she's there fighting for women's rights, and another one is Cheng Ling, founder of All Girls Allowed, an advocacy focused group on protecting women's rights in China. And she's against the country's one-child policy as well. These are all survivors of this barbaric type policy instilled by the government.
Thank you, Dennis. Even though there are controversies, or there were in 1978 controversies about forced abortions and briberies, according to my research, it has told me that it has phased out, which has in turn caused the Chinese population to decrease. The expectations of the policy was to limit population growth to support economic improvement, not to leverage trade agreements. Meredith?
Yeah, okay. I think you made a great argument, both sides, and I still stick with being against China's one-child policy, and this is because we are still facing this 4-2-1 problem, as they call it. And that's because they've got the 2 parents, the 4 grandparents, and the 1 child. And not enough women can be possibly born at this rate to catch up and to replace the current population and keep the economy going. We are relying too heavily on the programs that are enforced in the community and government programs too to help out these dependency ratios. I just do not believe that they can fully recover from this. And that's why I'm against the one-child policy.
Thank you, Meredith. This is my last reason why I'm for it. It is because it may have increased job opportunities and wages with more job opportunities for families of a one-child family policy and for chance of higher wages. This can help to reduce the levels of extreme poverty that China experienced after World War II and lessen the food storage.
Thank you, Aimee. I'm gonna always be against this. Again, I'm gonna go back on my facts of women's rights and the violations of women's rights in China because of this one-child policy. We have people like Feng Jianmai, who was a survivor of that one-child policy because she was allegedly targeted for being unable to pay a fine for having more than 1 child, was taken and was forced to be aborted and then had her fetus put next to her so she can look at it. I find this barbaric in any way, in any government that chooses. China will never be a democracy until they realize women's rights are as valuable as men's rights. And I feel that this one-child policy will definitely affect population, but not in the way that they want. Again, like you said, the ratio of women to men won't just be changed with people giving birth, you know, because it doesn't necessarily guarantee it's going to be a male born. It's going to be a female. Then what? We're going to go back to the policy. What? We're going to kill that child, or we're going to adopt that child, put that child in an orphanage where she'll probably grow up, have no education, or just live with hopes where she may one day be adopted by an American family, which is highly unlikely now. I am definitely against this. I thank you guys for your opinions on this, but I will always be against the one-child policy of China.
I thank you both. You were both extremely informative, and I appreciate that. But I'm pro one-child policy.
I respect that, Aimee. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm standing still at my position of against the China's one-child policy.
Okay, this is our debates with Meredith, Aimee, and Dennis. Thank you all for listening.